All right, so last week when we talked about building an adaptive culture, um, initially it seemed a lot easier than now it's seeming because when we were in class, everybody was on the same page and everybody was getting these 5 steps and 5 guidelines to follow. And in the real world, that's not how it works. So when I was reading this, I definitely started how I could apply it to my organizations and my relationships. There's a huge scandal going on at my work right now, and I work as a lifeguard. And it has to do with management getting on to employees about certain stupid practices, but it's turned into something bigger because management does these certain practices and they're being very hypocritical about it. So step one is naming the elephants the norm, and I feel like everybody, all the employees are very afraid to name these elephants because the people who are in charge of us, in control of the money we make, are the people who we kind of like, that people that are the elephants in the room, and it's hard to go against the authority with that. The second thing is to share responsibility for the organization. That goes hand in hand with what I was previously talking about. I feel like if you do name these elephants, the sharing of the responsibility for the organization will then follow. It's just the initial step of naming the elephants is very hard to get everybody on the same page with. Empowering independent judgment. Again, it comes with the self-confidence to name those elephants in the room, and that comes from the higher ups basically feeling like making the organization feel like it has power other than just like the core power of the organization, if that makes sense. Again, I feel like this is so much easier if the group gets this list prior to talking about it and understands how it works, because this is fraught with disaster. I feel like if you were going to go against an authority figure hoping to make a final positive movement, but it initially would seem kind of negative. The fourth step would be develop leadership capacity, and that would definitely come after you empower independent judgment. The leaders of the people with the independent judgment, everybody has their own independent judgment, but when you empower that independent judgment, you develop leadership capacity. And the fifth one is prioritize continuous learning, and I feel like that should be first on the list, to be honest, because when you prioritize continuous learning, you're basically always trying to make a learning experience out of everything, if I'm reading that right. And I feel like if we're prioritizing continuous learning, then naming the elephants would be the norm, and sharing the responsibility, empowering independent judgment, all of this could happen if you prioritize continuous learning and make that a thing that a group can share as an organization. So if we maybe put 5 in front of 1, that might work better. And again, I feel like it would definitely help if you were trying to incorporate this into an organization, to possibly talk about these 5 things prior to actually naming the elephants. But that's not how a lot of organizations work, and I hope that this all kind of made sense. All right, have a nice night.